Hey, everybody. Today I am Kerry Schafer. I look the same as Carrie Ann King, but this is a Kerry Schafer show, and that should tell you something straight off the bat. That means we're talking something that isn't women's fiction and might be a little on the freakier, scarier side. So I am delighted to introduce to you Miss Nola Nash. Say hi, Nola.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I hope we have some readers listeners showing up here. We'll give them a little bit of time to pop on. I always forget to tell you, but Tell Me Your Secrets is copyrighted by the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, and I am part of that lovely organization, which is just so much fun. So now that that's all out of the way, let's get back to Nola. So, Miss Nola, where are you from?
I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and in 2000, I relocated to Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been here ever since, living just in the outskirts of Nashville in the small town of Franklin, Tennessee, which is one of the most picturesque small towns I have ever been to. It is absolutely beautiful, but South Louisiana will always have my soul, no matter where I am. I love it here, but...
We're going to talk more about souls later in a
yes, we will.
You and I could not be really on farther ends of the country. I grew up in Canada, which is and way north also, I might add. I've never hardly been south. I was in Georgia briefly to visit my agent, but I would love to explore, Nashville and some of those places.
Nashville is a wonderful city. We have what we call Nashville nice. That's just something that is sort of expected behavior of people in Nashville. The first question you ask anyone that you meet in Nashville is, where are you from? Because it's odd to find somebody from Nashville. It's rare. So many transplants, people who've relocated. But Nashville is notoriously nice. Like, that's our thing, is we are nice. It's on t-shirts, Nashville nice.
Nashville nice. Isn't that kind of a Southern thing?
Like, it's a very Southern thing, very, very Southern. And coming from the way deep south of South Louisiana, I mean, it truly is ingrained in who we are. Nashville is just kind of right at that line where we start to sort of bleed into, we could almost be fading into the more northern states. But we still call it Smashville. That's our hockey term right there, Smashville. Once we got the hockey team, it became Smashville.
Is that why it's called Smashville? Because
they smashed into the glass. So it became Smashville. They smashed into each other.
Canadian girl, the joke kind of is, I was trying to watch a fight, but then a hockey game broke out.
Yeah. Exactly. And, being a Southern town with we've been to Stanley Cup playoffs and finals and all of this stuff. It's really amazing to have such a quality hockey team in Nashville and to have such an enthusiastic following of what is notoriously not a Southern sport. And so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, we have the rowdiest hockey games ever. Canadians come down here and they're just like, what is this? So, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. I went to a party and a hockey game broke out, because that's really what's happening. It's like, oh yeah, they're playing a game down there. We're over here dancing to music. They're throwing t-shirts, whatever.
Oh, hey,
it's a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome. So we have talked about where you grew up, and we've talked about Nashville, but that is not where your books are set. And we should and will and are going to right now actually talk a little bit about the books. So do you want to show a copy of the one that you have got on you? This is Crescent City Moon, which is already out in the world.
It is.
And
book one.
Tell us a little bit about what the book is about.
In Crescent City Moon, we meet a French socialite. And of course, in 1829, New Orleans, the French Quarter was largely French at that point. That's why they call it that. So this French socialite is about to turn 21. And on the night of her 21st birthday, her father is found just brutally and strangely murdered in their own house. And in trying to uncover what happened to him, Zélie, who's our heroine here, she walks into a world of secrets and mysteries and lies and half-truths that she has to start to unravel about her own family and her family history and what is happening to her family and how did this actually, how did he die in their house where, there was no sound of, no breaking and entering, nothing. And in that first part of the investigation, as she discovers her father, this voice kind of settles in the back of her head and it's taunting her and laughing at her, mocking her, and basically kind of claiming her as its own. And she doesn't understand what it is. And with the help of some interesting people, that includes the Ursuline nuns, one of which is a medium, the Mother Superior, a very dashing, very sweet police officer named Louis, a voodoo priestess, and some others come along the way that help her out. She starts to unravel these secrets and has to learn to harness the power that she has suddenly discovered in herself as of her 21st birthday. That is actually what that voice is after. And so she has to figure out how to defend herself.
I do have to mention that, being one of her friends and helpers is kind of a dangerous sort of a problem.
Very.
So
very dangerous.
I think without making it a spoiler, we can say straight off the top that nobody is safe, including like the priest who comes into the house.
Especially him.
Especially. Things do not go well for the priest. So,
no, they don't.
It's really funny because Nola sent this book to me to read, and I didn't realize quite what I was getting into because honestly, guys, I'm not a hardcore scary ass kind of book girl. It's like I write something that some people think is horror, but it's not really because it's heavily laced with humor and. Nola's stuff is creepy. Like, read it with the light on. Let's have you go ahead. Do you want to go ahead and read like the first page
Sure.
or so?
Absolutely.
Like, find a good stopping
I'll find a
point.
good stopping point. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, and disclaimer here: I never really considered myself a horror writer. It wasn't until other people told me that my books were scary that I realized my books were scary. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I did not know that this was really, I knew it was creepy, but I didn't really think of myself as a horror writer. But here we go.
What did you think you were writing? Just out of curiosity.
I just considered it kind of creepy paranormal mystery. I never really thought about it in historical fiction because it's 1829.
Right.
For me, the history and the magic are like the main part of it. But the fact that it is actually as creepy as it is and as frightening as it is, was not something that I guess as I'm writing it and I'm so deeply invested in these characters, I didn't really see it. You know, and I guess because so much of this stuff is so common in South Louisiana lore and things like that, for me to kind of take myself out of what is just accepted to me and not really, see it from somebody else's eyes, that this is not their everyday, this is not the culture they grew up in with the voodoo and, magic belief in the spirits and, all of this stuff. I didn't really notice that was going to be very frightening, but it is. And, in a good way. But
it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely, it surprised me when people kept telling me that how frightening it was, and then they're going to have nightmares. It's keeping them up at night. I'm going, really? Okay. I mean, I'll take that.
Cool, right?
It just wasn't necessarily something I expected. But there you go.
Okay.
All right. So chapter
Story
1.
time. Yeah.
Yes, story time. Storm clouds skulked across the sky, snarling at the moon and stars as they swallowed them whole. Below, in the descending darkness, the city shuddered. The hanged man looked up at Zélie, smiling and complacent in his bringing of doom, as thunder rumbled over the French Quarter rooftops, rattling the panes of glass in the parlor windows. As the sound sent a shiver through her, she could have sworn the hangman winked. Tarot cards had always been a game to her and her friends, deliciously taboo among the society set, but something was decidedly different about this spread. They were just cards on a table, but they carried a weight she'd never felt before. With them was a feeling of finality. What does it mean? Lisette asked, leaning over the cards. No matter how many times Zélie explained the meanings in the pictures, Lisette's sweet, simple mind could never hold on to the information. Even though Lizette had no idea what lay in the cards, her laughing amber eyes lost their luster in Zaley's silence. Expectation hung thick between the two childhood friends, broken only by the sound of raindrops tapping on the house and the hiss of wind outside. The first one is for your past, the sun. It represents warmth, love, and vitality. From the settee in the corner, Lizette's sister Celeste laughed and tucked a curl behind her ear that escaped the bun at the nape of her neck. Who cares about her past? Leafing lazily through the daily newspaper, Celeste was oblivious to the gathering sense of doom at the table. So is she going to fall hopelessly in love with the man of her dreams? Zaley's graceful fingers touched the last card on the table. The future, the hanged man, letting go, sacrifice, and martyrdom. Another shiver raced up her spine. Why should such a silly game make her feel like this?
Because things are about to get scary.
Things are gonna get bad.
Really bad. So we're kind of set up with a sort of a gothic feeling for me, like very, very evocative of dark things coming.
Yeah. And I think that's why I never really considered it horror for me, because horror to me was always a Stephen King kind of feel to it, the more modern and that kind of thing. What I kind of relate more to, and I guess what my book really relates more to, is more of an Edgar Allan Poe feeling. You know, that sense of atmosphere and that sense of impending doom, and, you know, the toying with emotions and sanity and madness and, you know, all of those things, as opposed to just horror, you know, Stephen King's kind of blood, guts, and gore.
Oh my God, Edgar Allan Poe. Is there anything scarier than that beating heart story? Like,
yes, you know, Telltale Heart. Yes.
Oh my God.
Favorites. Yes. I teach 8th grade English, and so I teach Edgar Allan Poe. In fact, my students right now are doing Poe-tober. And so each week we're breaking down an Edgar Allan Poe story. And so we did Telltale Heart last week. We're going to do The Pit and the Pendulum this week. And then next week is The Fall of the House of Usher. So I adore Edgar Allan Poe. And I think that's really kind of the mood, and that gothic, you know, that gothic horror is more, that's more what my books are, as opposed to kind of Stephen King horror. So when people, you know, say that it's a horror book, think Edgar Allan Poe before you go Stephen King.
Right. Well, you know, and I can't really speak to that because
you're right about Edgar Allan Poe.
I have read Edgar Allan Poe. I have an English degree, and actually I kind of like Edgar Allan Poe, although he did creep me out pretty thoroughly. But Stephen King, although I have read a few of his books, they are the ones that are not particularly freaky. But there are people in my house who keep trying to get me to read Stephen King, and I haven't. So I can't make the comparison because I don't like to get that. I like books where people live and have a happy ending.
My book, May, is definitely not the book for you. So many reasons. I'm glad you read it, and I'm glad you liked it.
I'm glad I read it. You know, one of the things I found fascinating about the book that I enjoyed the most, and was the voodoo stuff. Voodoo stuff fascinates me. So now I have to ask, what kind of research did you do?
Actually, a lot of hands-on research, which is a lot of fun for me. I have a working voodoo altar in my bedroom. It's set up there. I have this whole cabinet in my living room that's got all kinds of things, tarot cards, candles for candle magic, you know, all the things that basically that they do in the book, I've done. And I've done the hands-on. I've had the help of a dear friend of mine who is a psychic medium and a witch. She does, you know, all kinds of voodoo traditions on her own. I also had the counsel of another voodoo priestess who helped me out. So anytime I had a question about how to do something, or what needed to go here, what's going to make it accurate, I could go to them and say, you know, show me what to do, tell me what to do, so that I could actually do it. And I think to get that authenticity of the voodoo's very hands-on. It's very earthy. And in order to make that come across to the readers, I needed to experience that myself, so that everything from the smell of the herbs to the curl of the wax as she's carving the candle was something that was part of the experience for the reader, just like it was for someone who would actually be doing that ritual themselves. So those little details are what helped to bring that voodoo to life. And the only way I was going to get that was to actually go through the process of learning how to do those things.
Right. So now what I have to say, my very first thought is, oh my God, do not piss Nola off. Like,
It's fine. It's fine. Well, voodoo is actually very misunderstood. And that's another reason why I enjoyed using the voodoo priestess as a good guy. Because voodoo is essentially about protection. It does, every now and then any good thing can be corrupted. And so, it had its corrupt side of things. But primarily it's very misunderstood as something that is dark and evil. And, we're going to put a curse on you. But voodoo has its roots in protection. And so using the voodoo priestess as the good guy is actually more what traditionally her role would have been, is offering that sense of protection. So my whole thing was to be very true to the tradition, as opposed to Hollywoodizing it into something that is actually, putting curses on people. They did, yeah, you can do that, but that's not the main focus. That's sort of a last resort kind of thing with voodoo. It's like, if all this other stuff doesn't work, we can always cross them. We can always do something. But yeah, it's a very different tradition than what people outside of South Louisiana really, really understand it to be. It has a lot of parallels with hoodoo in the Appalachians and, kind of the mountain cultures as well, and lots of things that kind of blend together. And they also, in South Louisiana, New Orleans voodoo has a whole lot of Catholicism worked into it as well, because they had to hide their own voodoo practice behind the veil of Catholicism, because it was a law in Louisiana that you had to be Catholic for a very long time. And so all of these people that brought their own faith in had to hide it behind the veil of Catholicism. And over time, they just blended together. And so now traditional New Orleans voodoo has a lot of Catholic practice in it as well.
Wow, that's all just so fascinating. It really did come through, like in the book. I felt that you had to have involved yourself in some way, because the details were there very, very clearly that you feel like you're involved in the magic. So
good.
Yeah. I love that part. I'm fascinated by magic. I've never been involved in it really. But I'm not opposed to the idea were I to be in the vicinity of somebody who wanted to play, right? And so,
I mean, I love the idea of being able to kind of send your energy out and have some semblance of some type of control, and at least be able to kind of focus your intention on something.
Sure.
It's very much like meditation practice, only this is meditation practice using things, using your hands and the things around you and elements of the earth to kind of just anchor that meditation. So in many ways, it's just another spiritual practice, just like any other.
Right. Well, and very interesting. I do play with tarot cards. They're fun.
They are.
And sometimes downright freaky.
A little bit. They can be.
How did you really know? So let's talk a little bit about the next book. So this is a series, and I assume there are going to be even more, but book 2 is coming out October, right? Like just in time for Halloween.
October 28th.
Which is perfect. And it's called Crescent City Sin. And that's available now for pre-order. So grab it. Grab them both.
I mean, you really do need to start with Crescent City Moon. And Crescent City Sin does pick up right where Crescent City Moon leaves off.
Right.
And so it shifts perspective slightly. And if once you've read Moon, you understand why. Sin shifts perspective just a little bit, and it kind of loops back around. But you do really need to, I mean, there are clues in Crescent City Sin that can kind of catch you up, especially if it's been a while since you've read Crescent City Moon. But I do suggest you start with Moon before you move into Sin. A lot more clarity, and you'll understand the path that they're taking a little bit better.
So you'll be happier if you don't try and read these as standalone. So they want to be read as a series.
Exactly.
So I want to talk about a few other things with you, because you are just this interesting person who does these fascinating things. So let's talk about Nola's second line. This is so cool, guys. Nola has a talk show, which is just completely not like any other Facebook live talk show type thing I've ever been on. So Nola, tell us a little bit about what that is all about.
The Second Line show is It's an hour or so of just partying with some author friends. I mean, that's sort of kind of where it came about. Annie McDonald and I were just kind of spitballing ideas and being silly one day in a chat, and we're like, that would be so much fun. We just did a talk show. Like, there should be a talk show and just have all these people on, and it would be fun because like nobody can do events right now. And I said, yeah, but then I want to do like weird things with these people. I don't want to just talk to them. Like, I want to do games and stuff. And it's like, yeah, we got to do that. So that's what it turned into. So we spend about the first half of the show actually talking writing process in books. We don't necessarily get into, this is the plot, this is how I get the characters. I wanted to kind of steer away from the usual questions that authors get asked, because a lot of the viewers follow the authors around from show to show and different things that they do. And they've heard those things before. And there's definitely a place for those. And, it's awesome that those types of interviews are out there. They're very informative about the books. But I wanted a show that really let the viewers and the readers see the authors' personalities, their other side, get to know them as people, not just the books that they write.
Right.
And so we talk about their writing process. We talk about things that they do. And then we do goofball things like play games and do other weird stuff. We talk about, like last night's show, we were talking about really bad childhood Halloween costumes, like things that we did that we had to dress up as. And it was hilarious. We've talked about people had to defend their least favorite Halloween candy, like which Halloween candy is absolutely the worst ever, should never be given to anyone. We talked about that. When I had a group of thriller writers on, we played Two Truths and a Lie, because who should be better at that game than people who basically lie for a living? They're writing lies for thrillers and killers and mysteries. And so we played Two Truths and a Lie. So any of these things that we do really get the personality of the authors out, because we're laughing, we're talking. These are totally unrelated things to their writing, but it's who these authors are, and you get to know them really well. And another part of it, because it's my show and I'm Nola and New Orleans is my thing, I do a New Orleans history and mystery segment where I will tell either a local legend in New Orleans, or, like last night, it was a totally true story. That was a, horrible murder story that just gets buried. Nobody ever talks about it, but it's a fascinating story. So I always have that little New Orleans creepy element, or, sometimes we do Louisiana lingo, or one time we did weird Louisiana laws. Like,
oh my God.
No, we have no idea what, even I don't know from week to week. Like, I don't have the shows planned out like weeks from now. It's whatever weird wild hair I get is what the other segments are. So Annie McDonald is fabulous about getting me in touch with the authors and saying, here's this group that's going to work really well together. And she puts the word out, and we kind of assemble those groups together. And she kind of gets them in touch with me, and then she'll leave off and let me coordinate and get everybody together and kind of work all the details out. And then it's sort of just like whatever madness comes across my brain that week. I'm going, ooh, this will be fun. And then we do that.
So when can we watch this? It's on Nola's Second Line, right? On your Facebook page.
It is. It's on Nola's Second Line. It is on my personal page. We are usually on the Right Review,
Right.
Almost always now, also on the Right Review. I have a YouTube channel, Nola Nash Entertainment, where I broadcast live there as well, and past episodes are housed there. And then sometimes we have other Facebook book clubs that will host as well. And so last night we were on Laura Kemp's group, Kemp Camp. Sometimes we're on Novels and Lattes. Sometimes we're on High Society. We're on, it's all different places. And there's always an announcement on Nola's Second Line on my Facebook group where we're going to be that week. So, that's a good place to come and check, join the group, hang out with us. There's fun stuff there too. There's giveaways and all kinds of, as crazy as I am on the show, I'm just as crazy on my Facebook page. We have a good time there. Who knows what I'm going to do?
Hey, and that just sounds like so much fun. And it kind of, I had the same sort of idea with Tell Me Your Secrets. I don't want to ask the same questions. I don't want to get into your, I'm trying to go a little bit different. So now that I'm looking at your name and you, and I know a little bit about you, and you don't have to answer this, but I have to ask, is Nola Nash a pen name?
It is the name on my driver's license and my birth certificate. It's my name.
Really?
That is my legal name. Yeah, it is.
Because the coincidences here are just like absolutely mind blowing. Like, Because Nola is the nickname for New Orleans. Lots of
Mhm.
people call it Nola, and you live in Nashville, and here
Mhm.
you're going by this name of Nola Nash. And
Yep.
you know, I'm looking at it as I'm talking to you, going, "Oh my God, that's her pen name." But no,
That's the name on my driver's license. I could get out and show you.
no,
It's on my
no,
driver's
that's
license.
okay, no need. But how I love the coincidences of this, because I just love weird stuff, and that is just so fun. So, what was your most terrible Halloween costume? Now that came up, I want to know.
I think it was the most terrible Halloween costume at the time. Seemed like a great idea, and I think as an adult looking back at it, one day I will find this to be like a truly cute thing. But it started off the clown costumes that were handmade in adorable clown costumes, but we wore them year after year and they got passed around among all of the cousins. And so it was like always the same two clowns, like every Halloween. But the other ones were middle school costumes for me and my brother. And we made them because we tended to make all of our Halloween costumes because that's what you did when I was a kid. We didn't go to Walmart and like, here's a rack of Halloween costumes. We didn't do that. You had to come up with it, right?
Right.
And that was, I think, we talked last night about how that's really something kids are missing out on, is having to figure it out and make it. But we ended up stuffing trash bags and painting them. My brother was a California raisin. So he painted his purple, and so it was like all scrunched and purple, and he had his arms sticking out of it, and sunglasses on, and his face all like purple and stuff. So he was a raisin. He's California raisin, and I had the stuffed trash bag, and I painted yellow stripes around it. And I was a bee, but I didn't want to be just any bee, so I had a Nerf gun, and I was a killer bee.
Even back then. Now tell me true. Do you really, 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 truly never, ever, ever have had a voodoo doll that you stuck pins in?
I have voodoo dolls on my altar. In fact, I brought two of them back from New Orleans with me.
Okay, so my question is, who are you?
How do you have them?
Who are you tormenting?
I don't actually torment. No, I do have an ex. No. So, you gotta wonder. Every now and then there is somebody I really wish I could stick a pin in. But the whole practice with voodoo dolls, the Hollywood version of it is way more fun than, and like creepy than actually what voodoo dolls are for. All voodoo dolls are, it's kind of like the use of the puppet in European magic, where you attach something to the doll to basically attach it to whatever person you are wanting to work that magic for. So it's kind of a proxy for the person that the magic is supposed to help or whatever. And so the idea of sticking pins came from actually pinning something from that other person to that doll to make them the proxy. So it's not like I'm going to stick it in my shoulder, that doll's shoulder, and all of a sudden somebody's going to have shoulder pain. It doesn't actually work like that. It's just making that doll a proxy for whatever is supposed to happen. I mean, it could be a good proxy or a bad proxy, depending on what you do with the doll from there.
Right. But, so you could actually attach some good luck, good wishes to a doll and send that to somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have a little juju, which is like a little tiny one on a stand, and it's basically kind of the gatekeeper of luck kind of thing. And so like when my book launched, when Crescent City Moon launched, I had a little picture of the cover and I pinned it to the little juju and put it on the altar with money. And so the whole idea was, is the book this is, for the book to be successful. And so, little things like that. So the things that you do with it really have to do with whatever your purpose is for that. And so if you want to do harm to someone, then you do harm to the doll after you make them the proxy. But I don't suggest that. I mean, most magical traditions will tell you whatever you send out there is going to come back. Right. And so I always operate under that. It's like I learned from the teachers that I had, they were very cautious about that and said, don't put anything out there. Don't mess with stuff you don't know, and don't put anything out there that you can't handle coming back to you.
Right. Very, very wise.
I take their advice. I take their advice on that for sure. So I'm always like, okay, look, the bad guy has to do this. Is there a safer way for me to figure this out so I can write about it? I don't want this coming back.
Because you've been writing about things, right? It's okay. Yeah. But I am going to admit that I have put somebody that I had a thing about in a book and did things to them that they really were not going to like. I did do that. I have done that. Have you ventured into those territories, or?
I haven't really. And honestly, what I think I pour into these books is sort of like the different sides of my personality. So, it's like my own dark side. Like, I love writing Celine. She's wicked. I mean, there is nothing good about that woman.
No,
and she is no redeeming qualities, none whatsoever, unless you like body drinking songs. She does do a few of those.
She does.
There's a couple of those in there. She thinks she's funny, but she's taking, finding things that are funny in, very, very dark and wicked things. But it's that side of you that you always, those things that bother you, those people that you just can't stand, all of that stuff that you bottle up, that you are too Southern to say hateful things. Like, that's what happens to me. It's that Nashville nice coming back again. I'm too Southern to actually say that thing that I really wanted to tell that person. So I just flood all of that into Celine. Right. And so that's where she comes from. Zaley's got the magic and the sensibility and the strength that I always kind of wish that I had in the moment. And she's got, great friends and great counsel that I kind of feel like, I would enjoy hanging out with these people. And so it's all of these little pieces of either me or things that I am drawn to that I put into these characters. And I think that's why they're so easy for me to write and so easy for me to kind of hear their voices and have them do these things, because I really do feel like they are a part of me. And I always say that I feel like this story did not come to me, it comes through me. Right. Often when I'm sitting there writing, I'm watching all of this play out in my head, and I'm just typing as fast as I can to get everything that they're doing down on paper. I feel more like a conduit than anything else. I don't feel like I've created them. I feel like they came to visit and they told me their story. And I love that about this particular story and this particular group of people. And the publisher did too, because I actually wrote this as a standalone. It was not a series. It was not a series. It was not a series. And they said, we love these people. I said, I do too. And they said, but we want to spend more time with them. And I said, okay, what is this? So I actually have, my contract allows me to write as many of these as I feel is, the right amount for this particular story. So there will at least be a third. And there may be more than that. I've already got the plot outline for the third. I know where it's going and some fun things that are going to be in it. So yeah, I mean, Crescent City Sin leads you, kind of ends right in a good spot to take you into the third one.
Right, which you are working on now. So question, do you, after had a nice long reading session where Celine comes to visit and hang out with you for a while, do you need to cleanse your space? Are you burning a little sage or?
Oh yeah. I do feel like sometimes I kind of need to shake that off. It's very easy to settle into that mindset and to kind of just kind of sink into that darkness for a while. And I'm not traditionally, a really dark person. I love to laugh. I'm a very, kind of happy bohemian over here. My house is very brightly colored. Like I'm a colorful, happy person. But it does become very easy to kind of settle into Celine. And I think that's one of the interesting things about that darkness and madness and those things that we're all on the cusp of. And we were talking more about Edgar Allan Poe, and that's what he plays with, because we're all so close to it. And it can only take one thing really to push us over the edge and to get us, from normal insane to dark and insane and madness. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if I don't have that time to kind of, I don't just go, whew, okay, we got to get out of Celine's head for a while. If I don't do that, then yeah, I mean, I can start to get pretty gloomy. My kids are always great about going, Mom, I don't know what this is, but it's got to stop. Sorry. It's like, you have to smile. You got to do something. I'm like, I'm sorry. I've been writing Celine today.
First off, I need to say that one of your people is here, Janet, who said yay. The yay was in response to you writing book 3. And then I have to say that it's always the nice ones. It's like I met you before I read your book, and I was really kind of shocked. And it happened to Katie Moretti. I don't know if you've read any Katie Moretti thrillers, but I met Katie also at a conference, and she was just so sweet. It's like, oh my God. So I picked up her book and I'm reading it. I'm reading it in the airport, and I took a picture with my suitcase and I posted it on Instagram or whatever. I said, she seems so nice. Like,
it is. It's so funny. I think we just, as traditionally nice people, and we spend so much time trying to make other people happy and putting on this smiley face, but we do all have that dark side.
We do.
And I think that it becomes our channel to just get that stuff into a safe place so it does not become, kind of our forefront. We need to keep it buried, but sometimes it's like a pressure cooker. It's got to go somewhere.
I'm like that too, actually, honestly. I'm a nice person. I'm a mental health counselor. I have a nursing license. I've spent most of my life taking care of people. And then I started writing like my Shadow Valley books. And actually, even my first 3 books, my fantasy trilogy, the Nothing gets a little, anyway, my Vikings was sitting reading one of my books one day, and he just looks up at me and he goes, "You're scaring me right now." Because, he doesn't get to see what's going on in there. So anyway, fascinating stuff. So let me just refresh you all on this all again. Nola Nash is my guest here today, and the books are Crescent City Moon, which is out and available, Crescent City Sin, which is available for pre-order, perfect for Halloween. And you guys, you totally need to find Nola. So you want to watch the Nola's Second Line show, because you're not going to find anything like that. Anywhere. I don't think on the internet. You can find Nola also on her website at nolanash.com. And if you're listening to this and can't see what we've got up here, it's Nola, Nola Nash, Nash.com. Facebook, you can search up Nola's Second Line, and you can find the show on YouTube, Nola Nash Entertainment. And seriously, go pre-order Crescent City Sin right now, especially if you like scary books. And if you don't, get it for somebody else, because it's Halloween. While you're at it, you can check out my Shadow Valley series on Amazon. The first book in that is Dead Before Dying. You can read them as standalones, but again, you're probably going to want to start at the beginning and find your way through. So thank you so much again for being here, Nola. This was like super fun. You are... I just knew, because I got to be on your show once, that I would love to have you.
Thank you so much for that. It was so much fun having you on my show as well. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, good. I will probably take you up on that, because
I hope you do.
It was a kick. So all of you out there, go read a good book, preferably Nola's, or maybe mine, and stay safe, take care of yourselves, and check in again with me here next week on Tell Me Your Secrets, where I will have another fascinating guest to hang out with you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.